Welcome. I'm Corinne Ward, Wellness Coordinator in Columbus and Cincinnati. This is our second seminar of the four-part series, Stress and Disease Prevention. Research indicates that between 70 and 80% of all health-related problems are either precipitated or aggravated by emotional stress. Overall, what chronic stress does is it exposes your body to a relentless stream of cortisol and cytokines, which are very dangerous and destroy your immune system and cause inflammation to go wild. We know now that long-term inflammation is really the cause of all chronic diseases. It damages blood vessels, white blood cells, brain cells, and more. You can see by this chart how inflammation leads to the most common conditions that you're aware of. Cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, a lot of autoimmune diseases, which encompasses a lot of different things like arthritis, neurological diseases, and pulmonary as well. So besides the underlying foundation, the biggest issue is, of course, inflammation, but it does suppress your immune system. It actually can decrease your wound healing process too. So when we find that people are really stressed out, whether it's they're physically sick or really in a very bad place in their life emotionally, and they're very stressed out, that you can't heal very well. So a lot of people in the hospital, they're actually physically stressed, but they have a hard time healing as well. It can change your insulin sensitivity. So what this means is you don't actually use your insulin as well, and this can in turn increase your blood sugar levels. It can also lead to heart problems with increased plaque in the arteries, and it can worsen your mood disorders such as depression, anxiety. Maybe you never had those before and now you're experiencing that, or it's making matters worse. Not only does stress cause physiological habits to form, but actually it helps us, or it does not help us when we form bad habits because of stress. So people who are stressed out often change their eating habits. They often drink more alcohol, smoke more, and in turn they decrease sleeping and their exercise. This is a nice chart. It's showing you different stress levels among different generations. So actually, some of you might be surprised, but millennials and Gen Xers, they tend to carry the most stress, and both of those numbers are above average, whereas baby boomers, matures, or elderly will start to decrease in their stress levels. Different techniques in how to manage stress. This is actually just among millennials. It does break down all Americans versus millennials with high money stress, millennials with low money stress. But you can see that the general trend is all the same. Most people turn to watching TV. A lot of people who are stressed out will watch more than 2 hours a day. They'll surf the internet. They'll just go to sleep. They'll eat more, drink alcohol, and again, smoke. Same is true for even parents. So you can see the exact same bad habits are in the same order. So what are some common stressors that were reported? Most people do claim that money tends to bring on the most stress and work. Then followed by the economy, family issues or responsibilities, and then the last one or the lower end would be your personal health concerns. All of the stress causes, a similar cascade of reactions for most people, feeling irritable, anxious, lack of interest or motivation, fatigued, overwhelmed, depressed. So this was a study or a poll done in 2014, and this was asking people who claim to have a great deal of stress in a month. They were asking them what actual daily events or activities are going on that are contributing to this high stress level. They found that the number one claimed reason was juggling schedules of family members. You could see that just listening to the news or listening to what politicians and the government were doing came next. And then you have your household tasks, errands, car problems, house repairs, and then the very bottom, you can see that using social media was actually a contributor to stress. I can see that, a lot of people look at other people a lot online and they might start comparing themselves if they feel like they're having a bad day, and then they see someone who's posting a picture of how wonderful their life is and how glorious everything is. That can cause you to feel more depressed and stressed. How does stress actually affect your weight? We all have heard being stressed out can make you gain weight, or it can stop you from losing weight when you're trying really hard. What it does, it actually does change your metabolism. It changes the way we oxidize our fat or break down and use our fat efficiently. The increase in cortisol and insulin that happen with stress also cause you to have cravings for comfort foods. So when we think about comfort foods, it's usually carbohydrates, usually a lot of bread, heavy meals and foods. And what this does is it actually releases tryptophan and serotonin levels, which have a natural calming in the body from stress. So, you're not crazy when you crave pizza and other high carb loaded foods when you're stressed out. It's physiologically built in your system that this will calm your body down physically. When we talk about digestive health, there are a lot of conditions that are correlated with stress or just making problems worse, like irritable bowel syndrome. You could have more flare-ups. Peptic ulcers can happen. You have an increase in stomach acidity as well as esophagus spasms. So this all leads to kind of the acid reflux condition. Stress can actually alter your gut bacteria as well. We talk about having a great balance. You want that balance of good to bad bacteria in your body at all times. And when you're stressed out, sometimes that bad bacteria can start taking over, and this can lead to many digestive issues along the way. You may have heard actually a new term. It's called leaky gut syndrome. And this goes hand in hand with a lot of food sensitivities and allergies that are popping up out of seemingly nowhere. What leaky gut syndrome is actually when the cells of your digestive tract start to form gaps and start to have holes in between them. And this actually allows for different food particles to leak out of the GI tract and into your blood system and lymphatic system. And that's not a good thing. What your body's going to do is going to see those food particles as foreign objects. It's going to try to build antigens and fight against them. And then all of a sudden, you're eating some of your favorite foods and they're now upsetting your stomach and causing a host of digestive issues. This is where the food sensitivities come into play, where you may not actually be allergic to peanuts, but all of a sudden you're having these issues. The good news is this can be reversed. There's different methods and techniques, and you can actually talk to me. Since I'm a registered dietitian, I know a lot of techniques for this. So if you think you may be having it, please reach out. Some research actually suggests that there are some people that are genetically predisposed from turning stress into muscular contractions. So it actually may worsen muscular and joint pain like your back. It may cause arthritis to happen or flare up. And then those that experience headaches like tension type headaches or migraines may find that those are getting worse as you emotionally are getting stressed out. Fortunately, stress can also, wreak havoc on your reproduction system. So it can be a cause for infertility. A lot of people are seeking out medical professionals and they're finding everything else looks normal and they can't really explain what's going on. But a lot of times just stress in itself will put a halt on your reproductive system because in reality, that's your body's least concern right now is reproducing if you're stressed out. It can also cause other issues like erectile dysfunction, just reduced sexual desire. And a lot of times that is due because when you are stressed out, you have high levels of endorphins and cortisol. And when those levels kind of start to surge and take over, they'll actually naturally suppress your sex hormones so that desire may be decreased. Researchers have found that stress actually affects your memory as well and concentration loss. It can be, of course, the number one reason for depression and anxiety. That's why a lot of times just taking a medication or a drug is not the ultimate fix. But if you seek out a therapist who can actually figure out what's the bottom line, what's causing this emotional stress, you're in a way creating it. So it does need to be dealt with from multiple directions. And then you can actually see by this diagram that they found that if you have high levels of cortisol for long term, it can actually cause shrinking of your hippocampus. This is your brain's memory center. And you can see by this picture the normal brain that's not very stressed out, very solid. And then the one next to it has a lot of dents and holes in it. And this can actually cause severe brain dysfunction over time. Some additional symptoms or concerns you may have experienced would be different skin disorders. So you can bust out into hives, start all of a sudden having really bad acne, rosacea, and it's actually the most common cause for eczema. It can also lead to unexplained hair loss, periodontal disease, which is an inflammation of the gums. It can lead to tooth loss, a lot of host of dental issues, and can actually be linked to heart disease as well. So always the question I like to ask is, what can you do about it? First and foremost, I believe in identifying your controllable triggers. We talked about those small daily life events that can actually, lead up to a chronic stress over time, such as juggling family schedules. One tip would be if you have kind of a larger family or a lot going on, maybe limit your family members to only 1 or 2 activities per quarter that they can choose to do. If people are running around like crazy trying to do 5 different activities all the time, it can be very hectic. You can also just plan better, have an action plan, set out a calendar, mark everything down, figure out how people are going to get transported. And again, maybe that's how you can assess how many activities someone can actually handle at one time. Just walking away, taking a break. I often find if I work on my computer or I'm just focusing on something for too long, I often get stressed out. So just literally taking a 5-minute walk can really help. Focus on building strong relationships. I feel like this is a very important aspect, and it's getting lost. Because we're always using the internet and we're doing everything digital, we're not actually communicating as well as we used to. We're not having these conversations face to face. We may not be talking on the phone as long, and these are really important bonding experiences. They also can help you vent, of course, and release stress. It does it much better than just sending a message or writing on somebody's wall. You're not actually getting the same therapeutic benefit as you would with talking with people. Focus on getting more sleep, drinking less caffeine, hopefully, and that will help you get more sleep, eating a wholesome diet, and of course, seeking professional help like a therapist. You can always also do exercises that kind of promote stress management and release, like yoga. Another thing you can do is take a hot bath or shower. I love to do this, especially in the wintertime. So taking that 5-minute, 10-minute walk outside is not exactly fun when it's 20 degrees. But if I take a hot shower for 10 minutes, I find that I'm in a much better mood. I was able to clear my brain. And then I think that has just a very soothing effect. If you don't mind spending some money, you can get a massage. Acupuncture and hypnotherapy can actually be a very beneficial, effective method, especially if you feel like you're stuck in a rut and you can't get out of this vicious cycle of the stress that you're dealing with, or maybe it's an addiction issue. I really highly suggest trying hypnotherapy at least a couple of times. And then you can always, anytime, anywhere, do a very quick breathing or muscle relaxation technique, which is listed here. Here's just some references to read up on greater detail and all the topics I talked about. I want to thank you all for joining me this time. Again, this was our second seminar. We'll have seminar 3 coming up, and it'll be on diet and foods that you can eat for disease prevention. Thank you so much.